Offering to Isis is a new book by Isidora Forrest, Knowing the Goddess Through Her Sacred Symbols. And the book was recently published by Azoth Press, which is an imprint of miskatonicbooks.com, whom you may know from their sponsorship of the Foolish Fish news videos. All right, this is a book that has been on my watch list for a very, very long time, and I've been so excited for it, and it has not disappointed, folks. All right, let's take a quick look at the construction of the book before I start telling you what the contents are about. The book is quite heavy. The paper is glossy. I'll show you that in a moment. First of all, the cover, it's got this kind of nice teal color. If I just put my hand next to it so that my camera registers the more or less the correct color for it. It's maybe a little bit greener than what you're seeing right now. And then there's this kind of silver stamp right on the front. The cover, yep, just not sure what that was. The cover is like a faux leather, very nice. It feels kind of quite warm to the touch. It's very, very pleasant. Yeah, sharp corners and a slightly rounded spine is quite nice. And then you have these head and tail bands. You just get that into the light. It's kind of a grey colour. I think you can probably see that. And then a very nice silver ribbon that matches the stamp on the cover with those lotus motifs. Okay, so that's that's the cover. Then you have these black, slightly textured end papers, and that illustration that was a placeholder for the book on miskatonicbooks.com for quite a while. You'll be able to see that it is Smith sewn on quite glossy paper. Yeah. And it is printed in two-tone throughout, right? So black with these kind of blue highlights, which are quite pretty. There we are. All right, what are we looking at here? This is a book about precisely making offerings to Isis and what traditionally those offerings might have been, and how the modern practitioner and the modern devotee of the Egyptian goddess of magic, Isis, might approach the topic of making offerings to her, what they might offer to her, how they might offer it, and how this is possibly relevant not just for the goddess Isis, but for any Egyptian god, and in fact for many not Egyptian gods. I think that many of the principles that are described in the opening chapters of this book are completely relevant and completely useful whoever you're making offerings to. Certainly most of the deities that I have a practice with would appreciate offerings along these lines. So that's what's going on for the first 100 pages or so. A description of traditional offerings, the sources that we have that would inform this information, and so on. And then some examples of rituals: short rituals, medium length rituals, long rituals, 24-hour rituals, meditation rituals, all kinds of different rituals, forms of rituals that you can perform yourself or with a group of other Isis devotees that a modern practitioner might use. And I really appreciate what the author has done here to make all of this relevant to the 21st century devotee. He's giving examples of how, well, if traditionally making the sacrifice of a kite bird. I think this is the one, the example given over here. What you can do instead, right, of sacrificing a rare bird. You can obtain a kite feather, print out an image of a kite found online, sculpt a small kite out of modeling clay or bread dough, draw or paint your own picture of a kite, write the word kite in any language you choose or several, draw, paint or photocopy from the Book of Egyptian Hieroglyph representing a kite on paper or papyrus. These are all really nice, practical suggestions. I really appreciate the fact that the author tells us what to do physically, but also what kind of internal work to be doing at the time of making an offering. Again, completely relevant regardless of who you're making an offering to. And so, that's what the first, let's say, quarter of the book is about. And then the second part of the book, which is the rest of the book, or most of the rest of the book before we get to the couple of appendices there, it's about 300 pages of the actual offerings, which may be a symbol, it might be an object, it might be a word, and so on and so forth. So lots and lots of different types of offering in alphabetical order, along with a history of how that offering might have been offered, and evidence of how that has been used, and then also like a little thing to say, like a hymn maybe, to offer at the same time as that particular item that's being offered. So for each one of those, there's like a little invocation, a little conjuration, I suppose, a little verbal offering to be made at the same time as the item. There we go. A very practical, very deeply practical book. I'm going to say a book that's going to appeal not just to devotees of Isis, but to devotees of any gods that appreciate offerings, and a book that's going to be profoundly interesting to Egyptologists and people who have any kind of magical practice involving Egyptian deities. Very, very nice. And then towards the very end, you have a list of glyphs along with their English meaning, and then the Egyptian transcription in English letters. And then just a little note about what the glyph is. Sometimes it's very simple, sometimes there's a little bit of background for that particular glyph, which is nice. And then finally, a little bibliography, not so little. Come on. Let's turn these pages till we get to the bibliography. Come on. Here it is. Translation, sources, and then you'll get to see some books that you'll recognize, no doubt. There we go. And then a very usable index. You know how much I like a good index, and this one is several pages long, so it's really usable and useful. And I really appreciate that. Yeah, lots of entries there, and then a little note about the author and a note about the publisher. There we go. And that is Offering to Isis by M. Isidora Forrest. Very, very impressive, very cool. I really like it. I hope you enjoyed the review, folks. Don't forget to hit the like button if you did, and subscribe if you haven't done so already to get other reviews of esoteric or occult books like this one. And yeah, don't forget to check the links down below if you'd like to order this book directly from Miskatonic Books. I wish you all a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See you soon with another video. Bye-bye.